It's not about not using the word, it's about using it consciously. I moved from a small island that has different dialects, different slang from the rest of Canada, and it's a very interesting place. But one of the things I learned was that how we greet each other is very different than the rest of the world, even the rest of Canada. And I moved from my province to here only to discover that what I did at home was kind of rude here. Even within Canada, like you think culturally within Canada, it wouldn't be that different. But this was just something I noticed, and most people probably wouldn't even. Here, where I live now, go, "Hi, how are you?" And they go, "Hi, I'm fine, thanks. How are you?" And this is an exchange you're just supposed to have when you greet anybody that I learned when I moved here. That is the appropriate exchange that people do by default. Nobody really gives a shit how you are. Nobody wants to know how you are. That's what you're supposed to say. And I was not aware of this. Where I come from, when someone asks you, "How are you?" they're expecting an answer. Say you don't want to have a conversation with how somebody's doing, or maybe you know they're not doing well. You don't ask them, "How are you?" You ask them, "What are you doing?" If you want to have that cordial conversation with them, instead of saying, "Hey, how are you?" and not expecting an answer back, you go, "Hey, what are you doing?" Most people would just answer, "This is it." Or they would actually tell you what they're doing if they're busy. This was the kind of exchanges we would have. They were much more literal rather than just default. Like nobody just said, "Hi, how are you?" without the expectation of an answer. Exactly. You asked me how I felt, how I was doing. I'm going to tell you. When I moved here, I didn't get this right away. I had to learn this or unlearn. And it's this kind of default behavior that actually bothers me a little bit more than any type of language or words that you actually use. Sorry, appreciate, anything like that. It's the fact that it's default language. I want people to mean what they say. I don't want you to say things because you think it's what you're supposed to say. I want you to say it because that's what you want to say. That's what you mean. Here's the funny thing. When I first moved here, if somebody asked me, "Hi, how are you?" I would answer them and they would be like kind of weirded out. They'd be like, "Oh, how are you?" I'd be like, "Oh, I'm all right." And they'd be like kind of taken aback because I answered their question. It's not about the word sorry. It's not about the word appreciate. It's about the fact that too many people will default to it. And you might even mean it. But when you default to it, it becomes less meaningful as a sentiment. It was a very interesting experience to move from somewhere that didn't use the default language to a place that did. And not only that, the people who interact with you will learn that your sentiments are genuine. And that's how I want to be perceived. I want to be perceived as my sentiments are genuine. And if I default to language because it sounds nice, then people are just going to assume that I'm just saying it because I'm supposed to. And I don't actually mean it. And I would hate that. I would hate that perception of me, that people just assume I'm saying things because they sound nice. I say things because I mean them. And if I default to language, that's not what that sounds like. That's a great way of putting it. I'd rather be seen as genuine than polite. I feel like that could be a new motto. And that's my take on all that.